Welcome to the Uncivil Mentality Podcast. I'm Erik Vidal.
And I'm Reilly Kilbride.
Let's go. Let's go.
Hello?
Got me?
Yep. Yeah, what's up, big dog?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? All right, I got you now. Sorry about that. My other computer, I was sitting there and the speaker's starting to make a funny noise. I was like, this ain't going to work.
I hear him.
Gilbert, I love your
So
accent.
I had to get the wife. I had to get the wife out here.
Yeah, hey, that's what we're smart, man. We keep smart women around us.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
So, Gilbert, what's going on, man?
Man, just like Erik was talking about being dry up here in North Carolina. It's super dry. Just living a dream every day.
Gilbert, we like to start our episodes with a little bit of a bio about you. If you could give us a couple sentences about who you are, what you do, where you work.
So Jeremy Gilbert, Mooresville Fire Department. I was an engineer, but we got our pay grade changed to a lieutenant now. So I got a little pay raise, just because our job's classification changed. But Jeremy Gilbert, love the fire service, drive a big red truck.
Dude, you're a simple man, brother. I love that about you.
No frills here, man. No frills here.
Jeremy, what's your morning looking like? Are you getting off shift? Are you off today? What's your morning like?
So just got off. Got off this morning at 7:30. Got up at 6 o'clock. Got me a workout in. Had some coffee with the oncoming shift. Talked about the day. Then talked about their day, what we did, and then come home and just sitting on the front porch. We had some coffee, and now just sitting on the front porch talking to you guys.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Do you normally have that routine? Is that normal for you to get off shift?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I always try to get off in the morning. I usually wake up 5:45, 6 o'clock. Usually wake up, try to work out before I go home. That way I don't have to worry about it when I get home. I'm definitely a morning workout kind of guy.
So the days that I work, I will go to the gym at 5 a.m. and that just sets the table for the rest of the day for me, man. It gets one out of the way, and if I'm at work and I don't necessarily get a workout because we're too busy or training or stuff like that, so I'm an early morning workout guy too.
As am I. Yeah, so we've been asking a question lately.
You got your day made, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so one question that we've been asking lately is, what's your morning ritual? What do you do to get off shift? What do you do to decompress before you go home and, take on, home life? So, yeah, similar. Get off shift, either go to a training center, get a workout in, release all that energy prior to dealing with home life. So, very similar. Some guys just go straight home. I remember Chris Buell saying he just goes straight home and, has to deal with whatever he's got to deal with at home. So, yeah. Like-minded individuals, man. Like-minded people doing pretty much the same thing, just different places.
Exactly. And I live about 45 minutes. I have about a 45-minute commute. So usually in the way home, I'll catch a podcast. Usually on my way off shift, I try to listen to something that doesn't have anything to do with the fire service. On my way in, I try to listen to something that does do with the fire service. That way, it just kind of gets my mind off of it, kind of relaxes for 2 days.
I like that. Sometimes I have to disconnect from the fire service, and I'm always taking information and reading stuff, but sometimes I just need a separation from the two, and that's really good for my mental as well. So how long have you been in, you just got to be a lieutenant, but how long have you been driving before that?
So I actually got promoted. This will be coming up on my second year. So I got promoted. And I was a senior firefighter before then, so I was kind of like a backup driver. And the difference is once you make driver, you actually ride the seat when the officer's off. So you're kind of like a backup officer. So I went for the promotion, made top of the list, got promoted, got moved back to Engine 4, which is probably the best ride in the city, in my opinion. It's kind of a unique situation. We're upstairs with a volunteer department, so everything they go on, we go on. So it's kind of neat. And then we respond to the city, of course, but it's really nice. So you get the best of both worlds. So if we go out into the county with those guys, sometimes it's us out there for 3 or 4 minutes before the second arriving truck's coming. So it's good stuff. And then if we go to the city, you may have maybe a minute and a half before the second truck's there. So, it's one of those things that you get to do a little bit more work out in the county. So It's a pretty good gig. So yeah, I've been a driver for about 2 years. So, and before then I was a senior, and the biggest reason I promoted was the training chief or the logistics chief at the time come to me and he said, won't you take the engineer test? I'm like, well, I mean, I don't know. I like riding in the back of the truck. He's like, how many times you rode in the back of the truck last year? And I'm like, not many. He's like, exactly. He said, so you've been driving. He said, you're always driving. He said, if you're not driving at your station, you're getting shipped off. He said, so take the test. So I took the test. Like I said, done good on it. So got promoted and started driving. So
Yeah. We have that same
yeah,
kind of.
I don't care nothing about driving. Go ahead.
Do you miss it in the back seat?
Oh yeah, I don't care nothing about driving. Driving it's just our next step. So you have to be a driver to make captain. So the best job is in the back seat or in the front right seat. You know, that's the two best jobs in the fire service. You know, the driver. I mean, I'm a very proactive driver. When we pull up, I'm gonna throw ladders. I'm gonna do whatever. If my captain needs something, he's gonna turn around and ask for it, and it's gonna be sitting at the front door. I mean, you know, I try to be very proactive, but you know, you can only make so much difference standing out in the yard. So.
Let's rewind a little bit. Let's go ahead and go back to the beginning about your volunteer service, seeing your dad as a kid, and then career day or school day, that one field trip you mentioned. Okay, so where I got my information was from Danny B's Student of the Game Fire podcast. And bro, I loved hearing your story, how the first inception or how you first started in the fire service, because it was kind of similar to like my introduction to the fire service. And then so I saw similarities there.
Yeah, so my dad, my great grandfather, my grandfather, they was both charter members of the volunteer fire service, and then my dad joined. He was a volunteer, and so you know I knew that side of it. You know, I knew having the pager at home, having a scanner at home. I knew that side of it. And then we went on a field trip in school, and we pull up to the local firehouse, and we pull up. The guys come sliding down the pole, and I don't, like I said, to this day I don't know if they was going on a call or what they was doing, or they were just showing off for us. They slide down the pole, they get in the truck, and they drive out of the station. I'm like, they get paid to do this? I mean, like holy cow! I didn't know that was ever a possibility. You know, I was like, I knew, you know, reading books, you know, big cities, but I'm like, I didn't know like the city of Lincoln had that. So then I was like, from that day forward, I'm going to be a firefighter. You know, that's what I'm going to do for a living. And then fast forward, you know, life happens, and then finally I had the opportunity. My wife told me, she said, look, if you want to be a firefighter, you got to do it. You know, so I took the leap, and you know, right at 13 years ago, I become a paid fireman. You know, and I've been a volunteer since 2003. So I love the fire service. I mean, it's just it gives you a lot if you put a lot into it.
There was just this video of the champion UFC fighter named Alex Pajeda. He's like really big in the UFC right now, and he was in New York, and he passed one of the FDNY stations, and he stopped. He said, every boy wants to be a fireman. He's from Brazil. He's in the middle of nowhere. He was like, every guy loves fire trucks. Every guy wants to be a firefighter when they grow up. And I was like, we've got the best job. UFC fighters want to be us, which is like the craziest thing to think about.
Yep. The two jobs, you know, if I could be anything besides not a firefighter, I'd be a farmer. You know, that's the two things that I would be, a firefighter or a farmer, you know, because both you get what you put in. You know, if you're a farmer, you farm the land and you get off the land what you put into the land. If you don't do anything, you don't get anything out of it. It's just like the fire service. You know, if I come to work every day or a crap bag, then that's all I'm going to get out of the fire service. It's going to be a crappy 30 years.
Golly, man.
100%. Love it.
Yeah.
You put in what you get out of it.
Head.
Oh, you get out of it what you put into it. That's 100%. That's fitness, schooling, life, relationships. That's everything, brother.
You got it figured out,
everything.
Bud. So you were like, I mean, you're like Erik said earlier, you're one of us. You love getting after it. You love the fitness, applying it to the job, all of that stuff that we talk about. Is there one training gear task that you remember that has like shattered your mainframe of your mental toughness?
So that walk the other day, that 60-minute walk, that was pretty tough. Any of the 60-minute workouts, those are tough. You know, just, and it's not necessarily the work in it. It's just the mental of it. Of okay, it's just the monotony of it. You know, anything for 60 minutes. You know, that's the big thing. It's just the mindset. You know, because it's kind of funny because your body will go. It'll go way past your mind. And I love when you get to those points, you're like, all right, you do a systems check. You're like, okay, my body's great. You know, I'm sweating, I'm hot, but I can still move, you know, and then you're like, all right, I got to tell my brain I got to keep on working. So that any of our 60-minute workouts that's been put up is probably some of my favorite. But that walk the other day, I'm like, that's terrible. And then there was one a while back where we done the 2 miles breathing air, or, you know, the two cylinders,
Two
breathing
cylinders,
air.
correct? Yep.
You know, that the 2 cylinders, yeah.
I remember.
So I done it the first week, and I had my boots on the first week, and it rubbed blisters on my feet. You know, and I'm like, I was like, all right. And then the next week came out and it was 2 cylinders. I'm like, okay. I said, I'll do it, but I got to wear tennis shoes this time because it killed my feet. So I done it around the station, and literally I can remember doing it around the station, and I would look across the way and I'd see the can trailer, and I'm like, all right, just make it to the can trailer. And then I would get to the can trailer. I'd look down the aisle, and I'm like, all right, just make it to the back lot. I'd make it to the back lot, and everyone I had set a small goal, and I'm like, oh my gosh, am I ever going to run out of air? You know,
That's a blessing and a curse right there, brother.
It was.
My temptation to not hit the purge valve on the 2-cylinder task was real. It got real good.
Yeah.
Because that moment of weakness would just creep in and like, yo, you could do it. It's okay. Just, you know, turn on that purge valve. It's all right. You deserve it. I was like, man, bro, that little bitch voice.
But everybody has that voice. Everybody has that voice.
And we got to shut it down. You know, we got to shut it down. You know, just push it out. I found myself during the second cylinder, walking faster just so I'd breathe harder. I was like, I'm gonna pick up the pace a little bit on this little short section so I breathe harder. And that was my mindset. I'm like, if I breathe harder, I'll run out quicker and I'll be done quicker. So I'd find myself pushing my body harder to get my heart rate up.
Yes, bro. Yes.
Yeah,
and how would you know? How would you know to get there? How would you experience that if you would never get there on that second cylinder? You know, if you never put yourself in that situation.
Exactly.
How would you know that? You wouldn't, you know? So yeah.
You talked about doing like a systems check or like kind of like talking to yourself in those moments where you are getting kind of like, okay, my heart's elevated, my heart rate's elevated, my temperature is elevated. What does that kind of conversation sound like?
So my systems check, you know, it depends on what I'm doing. If it's like a leg heavy workout, you know, I start at my feet. I was like, my feet's good. My calves are good, my quads are good. You know where I'm at. You know, I work my way up my body. You know, and then I get to the weak link. I'm like, and it's always my mindset. You know, so I always like, okay, my body's good. Everything's good on my body. Or you know, we done a big ruck back in December. It's a 27-mile ruck, a benefit ruck. So that's how it was. You know, we done our ruck, and that's how we'd stop, and I'd stop and I'm like, okay, what's going on? You know, is my feet hurting? You know, what exactly is going on? And then we'd start back. You know, as soon as we'd start back within the first 100 yards, you know, you'd be like, okay, here's where I'm at. So that's the big thing I learned from that is, okay, here I had to really pay attention to my body is, you know, am I changing my walk because my feet's hurting? What am I doing? So that's kind of where I got my systems check from was, okay, how am I moving? Is anything changing? You know, what am I doing to myself? And then where's the weak link? And then it always, 99% of the time, it's always my mindset. You know, I may have an injury or something. You're having to mess with it, but most of the time it's always my mindset. It always comes back to my mindset. Okay, just quit letting that voice talk to me and just push through it.
Heck yeah, I like that.
I heard something along the line somewhere, you know, in my past life. If you're hurt, you could continue to keep on moving. If you're injured now, there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. You don't want to cause any more damage because now you're debilitated and you can't progress forward, or you're not functional for the next week or the following mission or whatnot. So, I mean, there's a fine line between playing hurt or training hurt and then training injured or playing injured. So
What I always tell myself is that I'm never gonna feel great. Like when the task is being asked of you, like when the big thing comes for you, they're not gonna be like, "Hey, is your body 100% right now?" Or "Do you feel good?" Because
yes.
that's never gonna be on the table. So almost like training where I'm kind of not feeling my best. If I'm at 80%, 70%, like body wise, I enjoy that because that's more realistic to what the training or what the task is gonna be. Because rarely do you ever feel 100% when that thing is called upon, you know?
Exactly. That's the big thing, you know, just like Erik talked about, you know, are you hurt? You know, is it pain? Is it soreness, or is it actually an injury? You know, a lot of times it's just soreness or a little pain. It's not necessarily injury. So that's the big thing, you know, I found is what is it? You know, am I hurting, you know, or am I hurt? You know, and then when you do the system check, you're like, it's just soreness. Push through.
Brain will
Coming
take you
up
down a trail of making you think you're hurt, and it's just that voice like you talked about. It's just your mindset.
when I first started working out, the warm-ups, right? I thought I was losing energy, and I thought I was getting tired,
Mm.
for the actual workout, not knowing that I was priming the body for what I was about to encounter. And in turn, you're more effective in the workout, and you're more effective in the task or whatnot. But initially, I was like, oh my God, this warm-up, I'm winded, you know? Not knowing the misconception was I was priming my body to encounter what I was about to do.
So funny story. You're talking about warm up. So I never warm up. So when I come down and done the training gear with Reilly, that was the first time I've ever done a warm up before a workout. We've done a little circuit warm up. I can tell if I do like an 8 or 10 round workout, then I can tell my first 2 rounds are my warm up. So when I come down to do the training gear workout, that's the first time I've ever done a warm up. And like, what's this stuff? And my firefighter's like, man, you got to warm up, man. We're about to get after it. I'm like, we don't warm up for a fire. He's like, yeah, but that's different. I'm like, man, I don't know. So that's something I need to start doing, is maybe getting a little sweat going before I start working out.
Well, you say that. I've done a little bit of both. Sometimes I do, if I'm, really like training or like working out, I'll warm up. But if it's fire-based stuff, like I like to train that no warm up, because there is going to be no warm up. You can
No,
make sure your gear's ready, you can stage appropriately, but when that tones go up, there's no warm up. So
Yeah.
kind of training both, I think, is advantageous.
Yes, correct. Do both. There's
Hmm.
at times at the station where I've been in the middle of a training situation. We got toned out to a fire. I'm already warmed up, and there's been times where dead asleep, and then you go in 0 to 100 real quick. So yeah, do both. But I mean, if you have the luxury or the ability to prime the body before encountering a task, by all means do so. If you don't, then oh well.
I think we're all firemen because we love that adrenaline dump, that adrenaline high of like getting those tones in the middle of the night and waking up and going to work. I think we love that more than we give it more credit, but that's not always the way to deal with your body, long term, longevity wise.
Well, truth be told, again, referring back to Danny B's podcast, how Jeremy, myself included, I would waste a lot of time when I was younger. I would just waste time thinking I had all the time in the world, to the point where I've wasted so much time that now I realize there's no time to waste, so I don't waste time anymore. You know? And I myself, I used to be selfish growing up. I was selfish, you know? What can I acquire? What can I do? But now it's like, how can I be selfless? And I guess that having that void when I was younger and now being in the fire service, fills in that void that I'm fulfilled, I have a mission, I have a purpose, and hence we are where we are today.
that's the big thing. Once you find something like that, it changes your mindset. I mean, once you have something that changes that mindset, it's totally different. It's a whole new outlook. And
Yeah.
the good thing is you have that moment that you can fall back on. And that's me. I had a failure moment, and I have that failure moment to fall back on. And I think every day, luckily, it was during training, and I don't, if I have that moment now, or I get to that moment now, I'm like, remember that day? No, I ain't going back there.
Hmm. So I recently just saw it was your birthday. So happy late birthday,
Yep, 41 years old, man. 41.
41. And I read it was long ago for old Erik over there. But you spent some time with your son, or you have kids? Tell us about your kids a little bit.
I have a little girl. Yep, I have a little
Okay.
girl. Yep,
Okay. So you spent your birthday with your little girl,
yep.
and you have a
So,
dog.
my wife, a dog. Yeah, my junior dog. Yeah, my golden retriever. He's my boy.
Yeah. So any big birthday plans, or was it just another day in the life?
So it was just another day in life. So I help a local farmer on my days off, and we just got done harvesting wheat. So usually the month of June, I don't make no plans, because usually we harvest wheat during the month of June. So I kind of laid low, and my wife, she was teaching summer school, so she's like, well, you got Rachel today. So me and Rachel, we just went and had some lunch, just kind of kicked around the house. Nothing too major, because it was super hot. So, and I've been running a combine for the past 2 weeks, like 15, 18 days. And I was like, I'm just going to kind of lay back and relax. So we kind of had a lazy day, had ice cream. We got ice cream, lunch, just a super lazy day.
That's sometimes just doing nothing is the best gift. As life happens, and if you have tons of things that you're responsible for, relaxing is the new flex, I think.
Yep.
Yeah. Sobriety, and
Relaxing.
Being present is new. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Two things I really want to touch on before we even like go into the stratosphere, right? So number one, that epiphany of fitness in the fire service for Jeremy. When was it? Did that switch, that light bulb, I guess, yeah, epiphany turned on for you? Like, man, I gotta get in shape, or I gotta continue to keep on training, or I have to like make training and gear a priority. So that's number one. And then two, your role in the recruit academy, or passing on the knowledge that you've acquired all these years, man. Because uh, I'll give it to you, 20 plus years in the fire service, you got some nuggets, you got some knowledge you got to pass on to this new generation coming into the fire service, even myself included. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that every time I see you post something or a caption, and dude, I gotta give it to you. Your captions get me.
I get it.
Because every time I read your caption, I was like, damn, this motherfucker gets it. Like, how the does he know? How does he know that he's putting on something that I'm thinking about? Or how does he know that, damn, this came to me the other day, or I didn't have the words to formulate it, but you actually write it out in text, and now like I recognize it, you know? So those two things. One was the epiphany of fitness in the fire service, and then your role in the fire academy, passing on to new recruits your knowledge.
So my epiphany happened at FDIC. So we was taking an engine company class with Jeff Shoup. So I'm a big nozzle forward guy. I love Aaron Fields. I love his nozzle forward stuff. That's the way I move hose. I've took his class multiple times, and that's how I do things. And August, it was FDIC when it was August when it got canceled because of COVID. So it was hot, super hot. We was in Indianapolis, taking an engine company class, and Jeff Shoup, I'm a big fan of him. And we was doing the last little bit of the class. We was moving hose, and as we're moving hose, like I'm starting cramping, and I'm like, man, I shouldn't be cramping, I'm good, and we'd went out a couple nights FDIC and had some beers and stuff, but I mean, nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary, it wasn't like we went out and was drinking to 2:00 in the morning. It was just, had some beers at suppers, nothing major. So we're in class and I'm cramping. I'm like, man, I can't do this. And I'm like, I can't do this. And I'm like, all right, just move the hose. I'm like, and I physically couldn't do it. And I'm like, from then forward, I was like, never again. Never again. I told my wife, I was like, look, babe, this is what happened. And I was like, I got to change. I got to change my lifestyle. And I was kind of selfish to her. And that's another point I realized, being selfish to her. She had been eating better, and it was kind of bad because I didn't see it because I was too wrapped up in my own self. So she'd been eating better, and I noticed at supper she would make like 2 meals, one for me and her, or one for me and Rachel, and one for her. And I'm like, I'm kind of watching. I'm like, man, I've been selfish, and all this writing's on the wall. And then I had that fair, and I was like, look, I got to do better. So she was there. She's a rock. She's like, I got you. So we started eating better. She pushed me along. So that was the failure point, and I'm glad it was during training, and it wasn't, nobody died, nobody got hurt. But I told myself right then, it's August, and it was Indianapolis, 90 degrees, 85 degrees. It's not like Florida, North Carolina, it's not crazy hot. And I was like, I got to do better. So from that point forward, I made myself a promise that I've got to start prioritizing stuff. I got to start putting my gear on. I got to start being able to do what I say I can do. So from that point forward, I started training. It didn't happen immediately. I come home from FDIC and I started easing into it. And I done the brute force training with sandbags. I found a sandbag program, and I started with it, and it was something I could do every day. And I'm like, okay, and I slowly progressed and got better. And then I started seeing people on Instagram with gear on doing workouts. I'm like, okay, I'll start adding gear in. So I started adding gear in. And then the biggest thing I do always try to do is I wear sweatpants and sweatshirt just about every workout. So that's, if I'm not in gear, I've got that on. And a lot of times when I do my training gear workouts, 99.9% of the time, I have my sweatpants and sweatshirt on underneath it. That way, when I put my regular duty clothes on, it's like a walk in the park. So that's when I had the moment, was a failure moment at FDIC. I was physically was not able to move hose. And I'm like, man, I'm an engine guy. I love engine work. And I was like, I can't do this. Like really? Like, I had that conversation with myself. I'm like, I'm lying. I'm fake. I can't do this. So from that point forward, I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna have that failure moment ever again. So that was the moment. That was the turning point. So then with the recruitment academy. So I love teaching. That's probably my ultimate goal in the fire service is to be a training chief or a training captain. Be 8 to 5. I don't want to do it till I ride the fire truck. Maybe my last 10 years. I love riding the fire truck, but I want to be a training captain because I love passing on. I love teaching. I love seeing recruits, showing them a skill set, going through the skill set, and then at the end of the day, when you do a scenario or you do something based, and they have that moment, that aha moment is what I call it. You see it and put everything together, and like, oh, okay. So I love training. I love when I can see that click, and that's probably my biggest thing. And I have the opportunity to teach at the training center. I teach all the recruits. I usually do search, and then fire hose streams and appliances. Then we do an engine company class. Usually that's the only thing I teach. I've taught forcible entry a couple times, but it's not. I mean, I don't mind teaching it, but it's not. It's not really just my passion. My passion is search and engine company operations. Moving hose lines, advancing on the fire, flowing water, flowing and moving. That's my two biggest things is being able to search and move the hose, put the water on the fire.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for that moment of vulnerability and for being so honest in your.
I've got a question about do you think that everyone's going to have that moment? Because we try to advocate, we try to get awareness and attention to fitness and wellness and things like that. I think everyone has to have that kind of oh crap moment to realize they're not where they want to be. But I don't want it to be too late for someone. Sometimes that oh crap moment happens and something really bad happens, which is kind of scary for us. Everyone's going to have their moment, but I hope it's as safe and in a controlled environment like it was like with yours. How do we get people there before the oh crap moment is our thought process? We talk about this all the time.
So personally, I don't think it is. I don't think will they have it. I think people have it all the time. And I think the problem is when we have it, we don't know how to recognize it. Or when we have it, we have us as fire service. Sometimes we eat our own. We're straight up. We eat our own, and we see somebody failing, and instead of reaching out a hand or helping those people, we make fun of them or we just turn our backs on them. And I think when people see those moments and they're afraid to fail. When I failed, I failed, but it was like, okay, I've either got to have an honest reflection of myself and move forward to make myself better, or I've got to lay there and just suffer. And I'm not going to lay there and suffer. So I think the biggest thing in the fire service, I think we need to do, and something I try to do is when you see people, because it's noticeable. You can see when we're training, you can see, especially if you've been on a job for 4 or 5 years, when you go out and do in-service training in front of people, you can see people who don't want to perform because they're afraid of failure. And that's our point, to reach our hands out. Hey, come on, let's do this together. Let's be there together. Or as an instructor, that's something I always do. I'm the first one to do something. If I'm showing you a skill and whatever it may be, I'm going to do it first. That way it's going to work. Or if I fail, you see me fail, and it's okay to fail. And that's one thing I preach in the fire service as instructors. If my guys come out and help me teach, my engine company comes out and helps me teach search class. If their guys are in gear, they're in gear, we're in gear. Whatever they're suffering on, we're doing. And those guys are expected to perform. If they're not directly running the station or doing something, then they've got to help us. They've got to be part in class. So I think that's the thing in the fire services. We've got to bring attention and help people recognize it as being support to them. If we see somebody failing or we see somebody struggling with fitness, we got to reach our hand out and say, hey, there's a lot of times that if I'm doing a workout and I think it's too tough for somebody, I'll scale back, or, hey, I can't do that. Well, go as long as you can, and then start shedding gear. Don't write yourself out. Help them get to that failure moment, and then say, hey, look, where was the quitting point? How could we have changed that? I think that in the fire service is what we got to do. We got to make people okay with failing. We got to be able to say, okay, you failed. You suck. You're the worst firefighter in the world. No, man, you failed. You had the downtime. How are we going to make yourself better? What can I do to assist you? That's where we got to be in the fire service, because for so long, it's been, oh, he failed. Man, I don't want that guy. I don't want that guy. That guy's junk. Well, have you ever helped that guy? Have you ever put any work in that guy? Have you ever sweated with that guy? No, okay, then why are you talking about it? You know, the kitchen
Exactly.
table, you know, that's the worst thing in the world. Sit around the kitchen table and they'll be like, oh, so and so messed up the other day, you know, done this, during this. I'm like, have you worked with him before? No. I was like, well, did you see it happen? No. Then why are we talking about it? Like,
Hell
we don't
yeah.
need to talk about it.
Hell
You
yeah.
know, I think that in the fire service will help people feel comfortable, or make them not necessarily feel comfortable, but put them in the safe zone. You know, hey, if you fell around me, I'm gonna reach my hand out and help you. I'm not gonna turn my back on you and say, oh man, that guy's dumb. No,
Mhm.
you know, you gotta put in, you gotta put in the extra work. But then it's a double-edged sword, because the person's got to want to put the work in. You know, they can't just say they want to do it and then not ever do anything else about it. You know, you can't say you're gonna change and then the next day you're doing the same thing. And then I'm gonna change, well, the next day you're doing the same thing. You know, you gotta, if I'm gonna change, I'm gonna change. You know, or if I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do something.
Right. Yeah.
I
As of lately,
pray
that's my
that all.
mantra.
Oh, go
Real,
ahead,
real
Erik.
quick, real quick before I lose my train of thought. Just be the person you say you are, right? You say you're gonna do something, you do it. Whether it's and do the hard things. And once you do the hard things, you know you can do hard things. And as you were talking and speaking, um, the thoughts that came to mind were people don't want to be discarded. Damn, man, I'm going through a bad one. I'm suffering over here, and you're just pointing the finger, laughing, making fun of me, but you're not really helping me out. And then now you're like, I'm disposable or yeah, exposable. I'm an expendable.
Expendable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you just discarded me and not even putting time effort to like educate me, just making fun of me and ridicule me. You, leave me alone, type of thing, right?
Yep.
So why do we do that? I see someone going through a bad time because I've been in that situation. I want to kind of like assist them. Hey, stop, pause. What are you doing right now? Talk me through your train of thought. Also, before I even get on the fire grounds, I'm rehearsing or practicing what I'm about to teach or what I'm about to instruct. That way, I don't look like a fool. And Reilly and I have spoken a couple of times, and we want to go first because if we go first, we don't want to. If we fail, I don't give a fuck about failing. They've ridiculed and persecuted the most perfect being on this planet. What do you think I give a fuck about what you're gonna say about me? You're not gonna hurt me, dude. I
Yep.
was bullied as a kid when I was younger, and I was made fun of when I was a kid. You think you're gonna hurt me now as a man that I've acquired all these skills? I'm good. I want
Yep.
to go first. I want to fuck up. That way, I learn from my mistakes because that's how I learn. It's called learning through experience and empiricism. Empiricium, learning through experience, and that's how I learn. So yeah, we just gotta leave the ego at the door, right? We have to remain humble, right?
Mhm.
When we're taking on a new task, keep it in perspective. I've never done this before. I'm about to do something new. It's okay to mess up, but it's not okay to accept that mess up and then keep on up and messing up, like continue, like learn from your mistakes, bro, and then continue forward. Um, so yeah, right on, spot on, Jeremy, my man. Good shit, man.
I hope that all of my mistakes happen on the training grounds. Like that's where the mistakes, that's where you learn and can change your patterns and learn new stuff. Like on the training ground, I want to fail as many times as I can. It's like a game for me is that, if I'm pushing the boundaries and I'm learning new things, and again, I have like a competitor's mindset, which I think all of we do. We want to be good at our job. We love it. We want to be good at our job. But I'm trying to mess up as much as I can because I'm gonna get more out of the drill. I'm gonna get more out of the whole training evolution as a whole. If I'm pushing the boundaries to failure, it's like that's where growth is on the other side of failure. So if you're willing to go through some failure, you're gonna learn. Whether than the guy that's afraid to take the rep or timid or not knowing what he wants to do, like you're gonna still do it, but you're gonna get to the point where you need to learn and then apply that later. So I'm willing to, like you said, willing to make mistakes on the training ground. It's a game. I want to fail. I want to fail repetitively in training. So when the big call comes, I'm ready.
So that's the big thing. So that's something I push with my crew. When we do training, we do our in-service training, whatever training. That's our fire for today. That's our chance. We're going to do it 100% full speed all the way. You'll get guys come out to in-service training, they fuss about it all day long. Oh, we got to do in-service training. It's hot out there. They're gonna make us do search. They're gonna make us force the door. We got to stretch a line. We got to do all this in gear. Whatever. I'm like, this is our chance. This is our fire for today. Let's go out and treat it like that. If we fail, then we'll fix it and we'll move forward. But we don't burn a lot in Mooresville. So if we mess up on a fire, it may be 6 months before we get another fire to fix our mistake. So how are we going to remember our mistake? So that's how I look at training. If we do training, if I'm not learning a new skill, if I'm doing a skill I already knew, already know, then it's 100%. It's 100%. You know, we're not. It's not training to me. That's my Firefighter day. You know, we pull up to our training center, and yeah, it's shipping containers. But I pull up, I look at it as a house. If we're going to a 2-story residential, I picture a 2-story residential, and that's how we're rolling. You know, and that's what I tell my guys. Like, we're not gonna say, oh, it's training, it'll be okay. No, if we mess up during training, we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna fix it, and we're gonna do it again. Especially if it's not a new skill. If it's a skill we should have mastered, then we're gonna be at 100%. We're gonna be running. We're gonna be moving with a purpose. And that's what I tell all the guys. And you know, during promotional processes, guys will be like, you know, I wonder what they're gonna do. I wonder what they're gonna do. I was like, it doesn't matter what they're gonna do. Do it the way you do it on the scene. And if I finish well, then I done good. If I don't finish well, then hey, I need to figure out why I didn't do good, because we can play a game. You know, our promotional process, it consists of like a computer sim where you look at a building, you give a size up, do all this stuff. And then we started adding live scenarios with live people. So you go down to the training center, you pull up your first driving company, and you direct them. So it's really good. And the first time I done it, I get out and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go. I know, because I've helped out with them. I was like, I know the game we're going to play. I know what they're looking for. And I get out of the truck and I get my size up, we get out of the truck and I start walking around to do my 360. I'm like, and I take like 2 steps, like, man, this ain't me. This ain't, just do the damn thing. So I take off in a nice fast-paced jog around that round to do my 360, searching, looking at everything, come back, get my follow-up report and everything. And we get done and I was like, I asked my wife, my wife's like, how'd it go? I'm like, went good. She's like, did you go slow like you talked about you was going to do? I was like, no. We're like,
no.
2 steps.
Never.
She's like, I knew
Never.
you weren't going to do that. She's like, I knew you weren't going to do that. I'm like, no, I done it full speed. And because, and yeah, and I finished well on it. But also, I could have played the game and done perfect because I know the game. But that's not real life, you know. I don't want to be. I want them to judge me for my overall performance, not a snapshot of me playing their game, you know. So that's the way I look at things. And training the same way. Like I said, when we do training, we done vent training the other day. The last time I cut a hole during vent training was probably during a recruit class, maybe, or other than live burn. But usually I don't do it on live burn. We let the new recruits do it. So probably during recruit class, you know, 12, 13 years ago was the last time I vented a roof. And I was like, so we practiced, read the chapter, you know, got everything, went up there, and I'm like, all right. And we got there, and our crew had the fastest time. You know, it's like, well, I was like, I'm not a vent guy. This is what I'm going to do. You know, if it's wrong, then it's what we're going to do. But I tell you what was on point. My ladder throwing was on point. My mask up skills was on point. Everything that I do was on point, except for maybe cutting the hole. And I'm like, hey, I mean, I know how to run a chainsaw. I'm comfortable with it. But, you know, and it was like, no, you done great. I'm like, okay. I was like, I don't cut holes. I'm going to be inside. This is not where I want to be. I don't want to be on the roof. I want to be inside.
Yeah. You never know. You never know.
Exactly.
And roof ops is one of the most gnarliest tasks on the fire grounds.
Oh yeah.
Tell me otherwise.
No, it's you're doing work. You're directly affecting everything on the fire ground.
Yeah.
But to me, I was like, you're doing work, and it's tough work. You know, throwing the 24, throwing the roof ladder, running the saw, running the axe if you need to. You know, you're doing work. I mean, it's not a walk in the park, that's for sure.
No, this is labor. The only question now, okay, so I have a question in mind because I was just arguing with one of my boys the other day. And the only tactical question about tactics is this one right here. So you're assigned to the nozzle, or you're assigned to, you know, the hose line, and you find a victim. What do?
So me personally, depends on 1, the size of the victim, 2, location of the victim, and 3, the size of the fire. That's going to be my thought process. How big is the victim? Can I manage them? If I'm on the nozzle, how close am I into the fire? What's my conditions? If I'm 2 foot from the door, 5 foot from the door, we snatching and grabbing, we're getting out. If we're back down the hallway in the bedroom, then I'm on the nozzle, and my second guy, my third guy can handle the victim. Then I'm gonna put water on the fire. I'm gonna isolate the fire, try to make conditions better. Shield, maybe pull the victim into a room, get them off there. The big thing is, what's the conditions? You know, how bad are my conditions? Is it super smoky? Is it super smoky and no heat? Super smoky and no heat. Most people die from smoke inhalation, so we got to get them out. You know, can I shelter them? Can I get them out of the window? You know, that's the big thing. You know, if it's super hot and I've got a nozzle, we got to make conditions better. You know, can I shelter them in a room? Can I get them out? You know, that's the biggest thing on my tactics is where am I at? How big's the fire? And what do I need to get out?
Thank you for that response, and that's pretty on point. I was arguing, I'll pull the victim out to the death,
To
and
death.
and I was getting so much slack for it because in my training and in my like circumstance, I picture that victim, let's say, is a family member. I'm gonna give that victim the best chance of survival. Period. I'm not God. I'm not trying to play God, but I know if we're in there in the smoked out conditions and it's heavy fire and I got gear on, I got PPE, but that victim doesn't have any PPE or any gear on, I'm gonna try and save that victim and give him the best chance of survival. Period. That was my end state. That was my answer. I got so much shit for it. No,
Mm.
you're attached to the hose line. You're attached to the nozzle. You're attached to the nozzle. You gotta stay on that hose line because then you're freelancing. And I was like, I don't give a flying. I see a victim. I'm gonna pull him out. And that was just my response.
Well,
In retrospect,
my brain goes to, can we isolate? Can I close the door? Am I have another window handy? Is there somewhere else that I can like, can we basically VES the situation? Can we get them out through another window? Because if I don't want to pull the 300-pound victim 50, 100 feet if I can just pull them 5 feet to the window. You know, that's just where my brain goes. Sometimes you got to be a little bit smarter. I know we like to get after it, but that's going to be a tough task. I always tell people we're not rescuing like models. We're not rescuing
right?
we're not rescuing people that
Able
look like,
bodies.
yeah,
Able bodies.
exactly.
We're not
It's
risking.
gonna be the person you don't want to drag through that house. So
That is correct.
yeah, matters where we
It's
are.
going to be the 350-pound person this has no clothes on, just soaking wet. You know,
Yeah.
and you can't be able to grab them. I mean, that's going to be the worst part.
And they were like, "Oh, Vidal, you always want to be a hero. You always want to like." I got so
Yeah,
much shit
yeah.
for it, my dude. But my first initial reaction was that. But thanks, Jeremy. Thanks for your take on that. Solid advice, man.
So Back of the Bay posted something 2 days ago, 3 days ago. We got to get them on, by the way. We got
Yeah,
to talk
let's
to
do it.
them. But they said, "What's your perfect day look like? Like, what's your day? What's a perfect day at the firehouse look like?" And something I included when I commented was uh, practicing a skill I already know, like building confidence in a skill, like a basic skill, and then acquiring a new skill. So I think maybe when it comes to training or learning things that people are uncomfortable with, build their confidence up first. Give them something they're good at, or give them something that they know pretty well. They can maybe brush up a little bit, and then we kind of move on to something new. Because I think a lot of the times the scenario or the scene or the thing that we're doing today is the task, the idea is here, and maybe our skill level is here. And I'll be honest, like sometimes what you want to accomplish and what we actually need to practice are two different things. So building confidence, especially with people that are a little bit unsure, and then maybe introducing a new skill, not right into a new skill. I get kind of frustrated with that. It's like sometimes they ask us to do things that we never learned, or like we haven't, that's not good training. Throwing me into a situation where, I mean, I guess that's realistic at times, but I don't know, it kind of frustrates me.
So yeah, that's me. You know, you're talking about a perfect day at the firehouse. Is
Yeah.
perfect day at the firehouse a good workout? Brushing up on a skill or practicing my favorite skill, you know, stretching a line, masking up, stuff that I'm 100% confident, but also then having a skill that I'm not so good at. You know, venting. You know, that was a great day. You know, getting up, cutting a hole. That was a great day. Doing vent stuff. That was a great day because I'm not. I haven't done it in a long time. You know, so that was brushed up on a new skill or learning a new skill or going out and learning new ideas. You know, that's my biggest thing. You know, going to outside training. You know, learning from new people. We went to a class a while back, and it was a search class, and the guys were standing around. They's like, "So all you guys know how to do victim tracks?" And they's like, "No, nobody here knows how to do a victim track." I was like, "Man, I ain't got no idea how to do a victim track." And he's like, "Well," I was like, "Yeah, I want to know." I was like, I come to this class for you to teach me something. I want to pick something up." You know, he's like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "I know how. I've got my go-to victim tracks. I know what I'm going to do." I was like, "But you may drop something on me that I've never saw before, so I'm going to raise my hand and nobody else." You know, because we was all, you know, it was a good class, and nobody wanted to be the guy that says, "No, I don't know how to do it." I'm like, "I don't know how to do it. Show me. You know, teach me. You know, because you
Hmm.
may show me the best move in the world to carry a victim or remove a victim." And I was like, "Show me. I don't know how to do one." And you know, we got after the class, the guy's like, "Man, you know how to do that." And I'm like, "Well, I did, but I thought I wanted you to teach me." I was like, "You know,
Yeah.
I come to learn. You know, I'm a student."
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good mindset. I'm a student forever. I don't know shit. You know, I want to learn. I want to know everything. And it's not possible to like know everything. But as long as you remain that humbleness, like I tell guys all the time, yeah, man, I've been on 4 years. I still don't know shit. You know, I'm still a rookie. and like, oh, shut the fuck up, Vidal, you know, this and that, smoke diver this, and like, oh, that was a phase in my life where I just showed up and I didn't quit, man. But you know, I ain't shit, dog. I ain't shit, bro. Just I want to learn. Someone comes on, I want to treat new probation officers like how I want to be treated when I was first on. You know, hey man, how you doing? How's your day? Welcome to, you know, the fire department. What have you learned so far? You know, is there anything you want to pass on? And that's super humbling. And I read that somewhere. That's not mine. I saw it somewhere along the lines like, hey man, what's going on? Teach me something. Yeah, that's sound. That's sound. I want to do that. That's how I want to be remembered. You know, when I'm not here. Yeah, man. You know that dude. Always, he was always like curious. You know. So
So that's new with us at Recruit Academy. So our recruits, they wear red shirts. They say recruits on them. You know, and I tell them while I'm teaching, man, the only difference between me and you is the color of our shirts. You got a red shirt on, I got a blue shirt on. We're both firefighters. We're both here to learn. I was like, so you're no different from me. You know, no matter what, you know, I'm sitting up here teaching. One day I was sitting there just like you are. You know, when I go to classes, I'm sitting there just like you guys are. So you're no different. So don't feel like you're the new guy that you can't talk, or if something you see something, by all means, if I'm showing you guys something and you know something better, hey, try this. You know, I want to learn from you guys, because we get people that's got time on the job when they get hired at Mooresville. You know, we've got people like that. And I'm like, don't just think you're a new guy and you're going to sit there with your mouth shut. If you know something, say, hey, this is what I know. Can we try it? Absolutely. You know, let's try it. Let's do it.
I love it, man. I love the passion. I love the curiosity. I love it. I love the transparency and like your willingness to like recognize like a deficiency or like a weakness and then start attacking it. Yeah, man. I'm right
You're
there with you.
you're also really aware. I think you're just like super aware of what, you know, what the going on in your life, or like what's going on at the department. Like I love your awareness level. It's like 99 Madden rating awareness level. I like that. Because some
That's
people
what
live
we
in a
got to be
bubble
aware.
where they can't tell how they feel or what they want or what they don't want. Like sometimes that just feels like they're a robot.
And a lot of times in the fire service, we create those, or we try to create those. You know, I, when or if I ever become captain, you know, I don't want a robot. I want somebody that can think. You know, I want somebody I can look at and assign a task I can trust. You know, I don't want them just to do exactly. You know, I don't want them to say this, and this, and then I don't know what to do if that doesn't work. You know, I want them to be able to think for herself. You know, my senior firefighter, when my captain's off, I'm riding up, so he's driving. You know, he asked me, "Hey, how should I go?" I was like, I always ask, you know where we're going? Yeah. All right, perfect. How should I get there? I was like, well, you're driving. How are you going to drive? I was like, if you do you. You know, if you need me, I'll help you. But if you know where you're going, you do you. I'll back you, whatever. If you go the long way and you say this is why I went that way, then I'll support you. You know, I may ask you, but if you do you, you know, I want you to think for yourself.
Solid. Solid. Yeah, man. Just get
Do
the
you have
task
any,
complete. Just complete the task. Just you have a job to do.
Exactly.
Complete the job.
Gilbert, I know you're getting into a new role, well, kind of, so, but do you have any goals on the horizon, things you want to do, things want to try, or fitness endeavors or anything like that?
So yeah, so I signed up. So I didn't get in, but I signed up for the 24-hour the one bad tour class. So I'm gonna
Hmm.
try to continue to try to get in that. Um,
Absolutely.
I would. I kind of, honestly, I kind of want to do a smoke diver program, but I'm kind of scared. And the biggest reason I'm scared is my nutrition. So that's something I struggle with, my nutrition. So I don't. I try to eat decent, but I know that's something big with those programs. You know, your 6 days, 7 days. You know, you gotta have food on point. You know, you gotta know your body, and I know my body for about 24 hours, maybe 30 hours, but you know, a week, you know, a stacking on a week of suffering, you know, that's something I definitely got to work up to. So I kind of would like to do one of those things. I haven't put it on as far as a goal. But I kind of would like to do like a 24-hour tour, like a flames program, and then maybe one day do a smoke diver program. But like I said, I'm getting, you know, I'm starting. It's just like joining the fire service. I'm starting to get a little older, you know. So it's one of those things. You know, the big thing, the good thing about getting older is my mindset. You know, my mindset at 41 years old was 10 times better than my mindset at 20 years old. My physical fitness at 20 years old was a lot better than it is now. But with my mindset and my fitness level, like my 20-year-old self, he wouldn't stand a chance against me. So that's the good thing as I'm getting older. My mindset is, you know, is is changing. And that's something, you know, I work on as much as my fitness is my mindset, you know, how to strengthen it. So that's one of my goals is maybe do the 24-hour program as far as fitness goals. Past year we done a big ruck. I would like to do maybe like a 30-mile race or something, or a 30-mile ruck, something like that. Just a challenging 8-hour, 8 or 12-hour day. You know, I would like to do something like that, just a challenging day. I'm not a big runner, so running, it's not that I don't like running. It's just that running, like I have no joy of running. Like I get to a point, 5, 6 miles, 7 miles, I'm good with that. You know, after that, I'm like, okay, to me, it's kind of silly. But rucking, I really enjoy rucking. So maybe if doing like a big ruck or something, I'd like to see that maybe in my future do, a big ruck. So that's definitely a goal that I need to set for myself.
Gilbert, a bunch of our buddies are planning on doing a 50K Spartan race. Have you ever done that?
I haven't.
All right, you might have to take the trip down to Columbia. It's a bunch of firefighters. It would be awesome.
So the big thing with Spartan race, so your feet wet. So I don't like wet feet. So during our ruck that last December, it rained all day. I mean, I'm talking it rained all day long. So I had wet feet for 9 hours straight. And after that, wet feet don't bother me as bad. But I don't know about being muddy and wet.
Yeah, it's pretty uncomfortable the entire time. I think they do a good job of that.
Definitely uncomfortable.
Yeah, check
Eric,
the socks.
do you ever do what kind of fitness goals does Erik Vidal have? Like for 2020?
What kind of big things for him?
Yeah, let's hear about it. Let's put the big guy on the spot.
So I'm waiting to try out for Florida smoke diver. That's in sights.
Heck yeah.
My RIT team we plan on competing at in Reno sometime in September.
Whoa.
So we'll head out to Nevada. There's a frog competition. Frog is Florida RIT Operations Group. So
Nice.
they'll be out there. They're trying to do like a nationwide, nationally recognized RIT operation competition. So there's that. And I'm gonna keep everything else on a down low.
Keep it under wraps.
Yeah.
You're like me. You don't want to say too much stuff out loud because you got too many people. I don't have too many people in my circle, but the people in my circle, we follow the same stuff. And so when I say stuff, they're like, "Hey man, I heard you say this the other day." I'm like, "Man," and then 2 months from now, I'm like, "Hey, well, how's that coming? You know, where are you at on it?"
Yeah.
That's a good friend.
Exactly.
That's a good friend right there.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
What, like they call you out on it? Like, hey man,
yeah.
you said this. Oh, they
Yep.
hold you to the standard. Is that what you're saying, Jeremy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I say things and dang it, I said it out loud. I have to
I have to
execute.
do
I have to manifest it. I have to put it out into the universe. That way I'm held accountable. And that's what the whole like training gear thing is, right? And the whole sobriety thing is hold myself accountable because I said I'm going to do something. Now I'm held to a higher standard and I have to execute. But there's far and few times where I've spoken out of term and it's come back to bite me in the ass. So I'm very cautious with the things I put out or the things I say out loud. But so there's that fine line, right? But yeah, but I just have to envision myself and manifest it and seeing myself accomplishing or accomplishing the goal. And the biggest thing is the process and journey to accomplish the goal, right? We talk about it all the time. The person you become en route to the goal is actually where the reward is, and benefiting from the fruits of your labor and putting in the work, the daily grind, and transforming or being the person that's deserving of the goal, right? That's full stop. That's what it's all about.
I operate better when I'm chasing something. Like when I have a goal, like I'm very goal oriented where like I have to have something that I'm working towards or like getting ready for, or it just keeps my mental in between the lines, Like I know that's probably a catch-22 is that if I'm always chasing something, I'm always going to be chasing something, which, sometimes good, sometimes bad, but I operate better with the goal in mind, I gotta have a focus.
Real quick, running towards or running away?
Well,
like
if
you're running towards something,
you're running away from something else. I get that.
Exactly.
So there's that.
My man just sniped me right through the damn eyeball with that one, dude. Jesus.
Oh, man.
Maybe that's right. Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I find myself because I battle with myself all the time. Am I running away from something? Yes, definitely. Am I running towards something that's, fulfilling? Maybe. Can I stop at any time when I'm running towards something? Yeah. Am I going to be consumed because I'm running away from something and it's going to catch me? 100%. You know? So,
Or when you get your goal that I've done this plenty of times, that you get towards the goal that you're chasing and you thought it was going to be the satisfying feeling of accomplishment, and you just like, oh God,
uh,
here we go again. I got to find
Yep.
something else. I got to find another carrot. There's no fulfillment in it, in the attainment of what said thing you wanted to do. I've been there.
100%. Yes, sir. Thank you.
What is that called?
Yeah, it's
Not
like,
giving
it's
a
like a
I don't know.
letdown. Yeah.
A letdown? You
It's
said a
like a
letdown?
letdown. You're like,
Yeah,
it should be
disappointment.
better. Yeah.
Disheartening. It's so
Disheartened. Yeah.
disheartening.
But then you lock in on another thing, and then you're just back on the path.
Yeah, so yesterday I had a challenge from Wesley Jackson. He follows me on Instagram. He sent me a thing. It was a 60. It was a 100 rep. It was like the up down, basically a version. It was basically a Navy SEAL burpee, but it was up down instead. So you go down, do 2 mountain climbers, 2 push ups, and then come up and do 2 squats. So it's 100 reps. I'm like, man, this looks pretty tough. So we started out yesterday morning, and I made it like rep 60 in full gear with my sweatshirt, sweatpants, everything underneath. And I'm like, man, I was like, I got to take this stuff off underneath. So I was like, I stripped down, I took my sweatshirt off and took my sweatpants off, put my gear back on, and I got to that rep 80. And I'm like, all right, I got to drop something else. So I got finished. I dropped my pack and dropped my coat, and we got done. I'm like, and I'm sitting there when I finished the rep, and they got the other guy. I got the whole crew in on it. So one of the guys, he'd done dressed down, had like 5 reps left. So I jumped in and finished the last 5 reps with him. And as I finished the last 5 reps with him, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I had 20 more reps and I would have completed this. And I'm like, why did I quit? And I start, and then at that point, I done a systems check, and I'm like, why didn't I do this systems check 20 reps ago? Why did I let myself down? So the rest of the day, I'm sitting there all day long, and I'm like, man, it's 20 freaking reps. That's what
Beating
I told
yourself
myself,
up.
20 freaking reps. Beat myself up, and I'm like, you know what? It's all right. And this morning I
It's
got up, and I'm like, that was yesterday. I'll be better today. That's yesterday.
it's so refreshing to hear that everyone else has those same thoughts, because I'll beat myself up over 5 minutes of a workout where I lost focus, or 20
Yep.
reps where I could have gone a little faster. It's refreshing to hear those thoughts, Gilbert. So thank you. But when Gilbert came to the firefighter community workout at Carolina CrossFit, he said something that I always have stuck with me. He said, like, we were just finishing up the workout, and he's like, anybody could have been here. Like, anybody that showed up, like, those aren't the people that really matter. The people that matter are here right now that are doing the work alongside you. And I was like, man, dude, it was like a call to the Spartans in 300. Everyone was just like, I got my blood pumping. It was really awesome. And thank you for coming down for that. It was awesome, Gilbert.
So I heard that quote like early on in my career. I don't remember who said it. Like I'm talking like 2004, 2005. And because you always hear people, man, this guy needs to be at training. This guy needs to be at training. This guy needs to do this. And you always hear that. And that guy for life of me, I need to look back at my notes because I know I've got it wrote down. But I need to figure out who said that. And that day, it never made sense to me. And it took a long time till that made sense to me. And now that's the truth. If you look around and you think about just next time you're on shift, you do some type of training, and you think, man, somebody needs that this guy over here really needs to be there. And then the next time you go to training and that guy's actually there and he's standing in the back of the room, he's joking, he's not doing work, he's just kind of there. Why the does that guy need to be here? The guys that need to be there are the guys that are in there that are grinding, that are putting the work in, that are going first, that are wanting to fail, that are putting themselves out there. And you don't have to say, man, so and so should be here. No, so and so should be here. So and so would have been here. That's the way you gotta look at it.
Yeah.
That goes back to the 1% will find each other, right? You ever heard that saying? I forget where I picked it up or I heard it somewhere. It's not mine, but the 1% will gravitate toward each other and you'll see them. You'll find them where you're at. And then you look around the environment you're in, like, yeah, I'm supposed to be here. And I love that. And Reilly, the firefighter community workout, fucking, you're doing God's work, my man. Wow. That's awesome.
Honestly, this is what happens when worlds collide, man. I found three loves if you include my wife, fitness, the fire service, and Megan, of course. But it's to be able to put those things together and give an experience and share those loves with other people. Cup full, man. Cup is overflowing with gratitude, with admiration for people that show up on a Saturday. Like so many emotions come out on those days after the workouts, and I just shake my head, and I'm super blessed, and I'm happy to host them and as long as I can. It's a great time. So yeah, I haven't put the date on the calendar for the next one, but be on the lookout for that.
I definitely be it. That's what
Absolutely.
Cody and Wesley and all them guys come down, and
Hmm.
it's like, you come, and I was like, man, if we're not harvesting wheat, and we was
Yeah.
harvesting wheat, so I couldn't come. I'd already made a commitment. I was like, I'll be at the next one, and that's like,
Yeah.
it's like, man, we need to do that in North Carolina. I was like, well, we can. I was like, but it's not that far a drive down to South Carolina.
Yeah.
You
Look,
drive down.
just like training gear, I don't own any of this shit. Anyone can do this, and I'd take my happy ass up to North Carolina, or I would love to be with the boys anywhere. So yeah, I don't own the firefighter community workout. It's not mine.
And see, that's the thing I love about you guys and the training gear. That's what I tell everybody. It's not ours. It's a community. It's something that we're building to make us better. Every time you see a new guy, or you get when I travel, if I have to travel at work or somebody travels in with me, that's the first thing they know. They know we're going to do a gear workout. They know that I'm
Mhm.
probably going to, if they leave it to me, then we're going to do some type of gear workout. They know that. If they traveled into Station 4, Engine 4, they know hey, what kind of workout we're gonna do today. They know that I'll throw a gear workout in there.
Mhm.
And if I travel, hey, well, here comes Gilbert. We're probably gonna do a gear workout today. I'm like, yeah, we are. We got to be comfortable in this stuff. It shouldn't be a stressor.
We were on a wreck yesterday, and I'm on A shift, and the C shift captain was covering for A shift, and I've really never maybe met this captain once or twice, but he came up to me and was like, I got my workout in today. Tell me about the workout that he did on his shift. And I was like, why are you confessing to me? I feel like I'm a priest or something. Like, look, like I'm happy that you're getting after it, but like that was what he opened with. He's like, yeah, I got on the assault bike today with my gear and I did this and I'm like, I'm happy to hear this, but are you good, bro? Like, can we start with like hello or something? Like, he felt guilty about it, like he had to tell me about it. So it's pretty funny. That's my persona in the department is like,
Good,
yeah,
good,
hopefully it can
good.
keep it that way.
I mean, reputation, a good or bad reputation will, carry you a long way or whatnot. Or how is it your reputation precedes you or whatnot? You know, I've been confessed to where, hey man, I saw your name on the roster. I started hydrating the day before. I was like, oh my God, that's so gangster, bro. I can't believe you just said that out loud. I mean, you're confessing to me. You told me that. I'm gonna use that. I want to say it somewhere. It's gonna be so fitting in the conversation I'm having that I'm just gonna say that out loud at one point in my life. So yeah, man, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Hey, there comes Jeremy. We're gonna get
Who's
it
that?
in today.
He's the
The, the
dog, baby.
recruit,
The
Yes.
dog. He's the
the
dog pack
recruit,
leader.
the recruits. When I show so when I'm teaching, when I'm teaching recruit class, I show up and they work out at 7 o'clock. And I'm very respectful. I text the guys who's teaching PT and say, "Hey man, you mind if I jump in on PT with you? Whatever." No, you good. I was like, "You got anything in mind?" I was like, "Can we do a gear workout?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." So they know when I show up, when I pull up in my truck and I get my gear out, they know we're about to throw down.
Yeah, they're
They know
punching
they're
the
like,
air. They're like, shit.
here they come. Yeah, there's like,
Yeah.
and a lot of times they ask me, "Hey, you coming? Are you on shift?" They like when they see Engine 4 come out there because they know that I won't be there next morning to 7:45 after their workout. So I'm like, "Hey, yeah, I think in the morning I'm getting off shift early to come work out with you guys." I'm like, "No, we're good, we're good. We got something planned." I'm like, and the recruit. So during the recruit video, they always give a thing. They say, "What did you love the most about recruit class, and what did you hate the most?" Well, one of these cats like Gilbert's workouts, man, they were tough, and I'm like. So I asked him about it. We're sitting there. He traveled out with us, and I didn't say anything. And he traveled out like the last 12, and I'm like, "So man, how you gonna throw me under the bus like that?" He's like, "What?" I was like, "You hated my workouts?" He's like, "Man, some of the workouts absolutely killed me." I'm like, "Yeah, but you felt better afterwards." He's like, "Man, they were tough." That's all he would say. He's like, "They were tough," but I'm
Yeah,
like, "Just got to do it."
All
I
right.
always make a. Oh, go
My
ahead.
last question. My last question for Gilbert. In regards to training and gear for that mental fortitude aspect, and then training and gear to transfer skills onto the fire grounds? What are the two discrepancies? Because to actually the fire grounds are unforgiving, right? A structure fire, a vehicle fire, a warehouse fire, unforgiving, right? But how do you replicate that in training? How do you put the body under duress in training to mimic a situation that you would experience on the fire grounds?
So that's, to me, you got to do that physically and mentally. So physically, the physical part is just the movements, your heart rate, getting everything uncomfortable. The mental part you got to look at is like if we do a breathing, if we're breathing air, if it's a breathing air workout, when we get to 50%, we're announcing that to our crew, hey, we're at 50%. When we get to vibing, we start vibing, hey, we're calling a mayday. Then once we call a mayday, once we get down there, we're kind of preparing towards the end of the workout. If I'm on set 5 of 5, and I'm vibing, well, now I've got to start, okay, now I'm finishing this task. I got to relate this task to on the fire ground. And then once I'm doing that, I got to get out, so now I've got to make my way towards the door, wherever I am. So mentally getting that training gear workout, if I'm using the air pack, then mentally I've got to take myself calling the mayday. And if I call a mayday during the workout, somebody acknowledges it, not just calling a mayday. Now, if I'm by myself, then I pause and I listen, like somebody should, then I call it again. And then I call it again. I try to do it 3 times if I'm doing it by myself. That way I can say, okay, nobody answer me. Somebody's got to answer me. Let's call it again. But the physical part is just getting your heart rate up, getting movements, trying to do movements that replicate the fire ground, burpees, up downs, getting up and down, drags, snatches, that stuff where you're actually going down and back up, and, crawls, tripods, bear crawls, just working your shoulders and stuff, just getting your heart rate up, making movements in gear that you're going to do that kind of mimics the fire ground. And the big thing is the mental part, knowing I'm vibing, knowing that I've got, okay, now I've got to be thinking about an exit strategy. I got to be thinking about calling my mayday. I got to be thinking about my crew, knowing my air pressure when my cylinder starts dropping. How's my crew doing? Just having that mindset to ask about my other guys.
There it is. Thank you. Yeah, air consumption drills, key, absolutely a must. But how do you get to that stage about getting to the vibro alert if you don't put your body under duress, or tire strikes, search, tripod slide, bear crawls, up downs? You fall on the fire grounds, you got to get back up. That's just like with anything in life. So, all you do is work out or exercise in gear. I'm like, yeah. Oh, so you have heard of? So you have heard of me?
Yeah. Well, hold on. One question. My last question for Gilbert is Gilbert's Grinding. Your Instagram name. How'd you come up with that? Because I think that's like the best Instagram handle of all time.
So it's an accident. It's a complete accident. So 7-8 years ago, I had a stump grinder, and I done stump grinding. So it was Gilbert's Grinding, advertising for that, and I just never changed it.
Dude, that's amazing. It took a second meaning, that of all things. That's awesome, dude.
It did, yep.
Hell yeah,
it
man.
Sure did.
Well, Gilbert, thanks for coming on here, man. We love talking to you, and we love catching up. Yeah, man, we appreciate you.
Well, thank you guys, man. I love the conversation, man. I love talking to you guys. I love seeing you guys. I love following you guys. When y'all post a workout or something, I'm like, heck yeah. Especially community workouts, we got to get Erik up to South Carolina, man. It's pretty long fly. You have to fly.
It's coming. I have a trip going up to. I'm gonna head north sometime in July, August. So I'll be out there. I just gotta plan it. The mantra.
Even if there's no workout planned, you call us, man. We'll throw something together.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Oh, dude, I
want to see Erik on your fucking farm out there in the middle of nowhere. I want to see his ass put him on a damn combine or something. I want to see that shit.
I can do work, man. I'm telling you, my thing is work.
I don't doubt it.
My thing is
Country
work.
Erik. I think that should be its own thing.
And farming, I just love the idea of farming, feeding off the land and being self-sustainable. And as of lately, I've been watching on YouTube these Sprinter vans redone and remodels.
Yeah,
I'm hooked. Anyways, so before we go, Jeremy Gilbert, is there any mantra as of lately when you're in the pain cave or anything that resonates with you that you say to yourself on a daily basis?
So the only thing is we owe outwork everyone. We owe our citizens. When it's sucking, we owe them. You know, we got to pay them. You know, right? We owe. So outwork everyone. When hard work out, you look around. If they're struggling, you're struggling. Just keep putting the work in. Just outwork them.
Absolutely.
Yes, I love it. I with it.
Yeah.
I understand. Message received. You know, got it.
Yeah, man.
Let's end it, man. Thank you so much for your time, bro. I can't express it enough. Thank you so much for your time. I mean, what can we give our loved ones is our time, and you did it. You did that. I get flustered when I have thoughts and I'm trying to say them. I get flustered. So, and you did that today. You gave us your time, and that right there is so much respect and so much love and admiration. I can't go past those words.
Well, thank you guys. You gave me your time, and I appreciate it. So,
Thank you, brother. We appreciate you, brother.
all right, see y'all.
All right. Later.
Bye-bye.
So, to all the viewers and listeners out there, the Uncivil Mentality Podcast, thank you for joining us. On behalf of myself, Erik Vidal,
And I'm Reilly Kilbride. Get after it. Get in your gear. Start f***ing training. It can never be enough.